drivers to lose license for positive drug tests. Welcome to Gene Be Great TV, the #1 tanker driver on YouTube. Federal trucking officials have cautioned holders of commercial driver's licenses, CDL, about new regulations scheduled for late 2019. Should a truck driver's drug test come back positive, they will face severe penalties, including having their commercial driver's licenses revoked and being included on a restricted driving list. Moreover, they won't be granted learning permits until these drivers effectively finish the federal return to duty process. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, FMCSA, underlined in a notice issued on November 28 that drivers who violate the drug and alcohol program are not allowed to operate commercial motor vehicles, CMVs, until they have completed the return to duty process. In line with new federal regulations, drivers having a prohibited status in the Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse will either lose or entirely be refused their state-issued commercial driving rights as of November 18, 2024. Although the FMCSA's last rule was first released in October 2021, drivers only received a notice alerting them that state driver licensing agencies will act following positive drug test findings being entered into the clearinghouse. An agency representative confirmed that a CDL will remain barred until the FMCSA has documentation showing the driver has completed the return to duty process. The infraction would then be deleted from the clearinghouse. The last rule aims to increase road safety by ensuring adherence to the CMV driving ban and removing risky drivers from the road. For treatment and education, companies have to provide drivers a list of substance abuse professionals accredited by the Department of Transportation, DOT. Drivers can choose their substance abuse professional, SAP, depending on their own research. SAP decides whether a driver qualifies for retesting. To keep a driver's not prohibited status, employers and drivers have to cooperate on a SAP-defined follow-up testing strategy. This strategy requires at least 6 surprise follow-up visits inside the first 12 months of returning to work on safety-sensitive tasks. For owner-operators, the follow-up testing plan falls to assigned consortiums or outside third-party managers. The clearinghouse has successfully removed many drug-using drivers from the road. Nevertheless, a good number of drivers who fail drug tests and are still prohibited from driving cause questions. This implies that many drivers would much prefer stop driving than apply the return to duty program. Since the clearinghouse opened in January 2020, 224,000 adverse drug and alcohol tests have been recorded. Most of them relate to marijuana use. 149,474 drivers stayed in barred status, while 113,639 drivers had not registered in the Return to Work program by the end of September. The FMCSA acknowledges that it hasn't done any independent study to find out why the great majority of drivers who test positive for drugs choose to quit their careers in trucking. The American Transportation Research Institute recently examined driver marijuana test failures in particular. According to the report, truck drivers are not allowed to use marijuana at all, even if many countries allow their usage. The zero-tolerance policy means that even once marijuana use could cause a failed drug test. Nearly 1 million new CDL driver records from states in 2021 and 2022 entered the Commercial Driver's License Information System, suggesting a clear increase of new drivers joining the industry. The FMCSA believes that its drug and alcohol program increases safety by making individual drivers answerable for infractions and guaranteeing compliance with return-to-duty rules. Strict drug and alcohol rules for the transportation industry have been adopted by the FMCSA to safeguard drivers of commercial vehicles and the public at general level. These rules seek to discourage driving while intoxicated and promote a safe workplace. Anyone who runs commercial motor vehicles, CMVs, has to understand the FMCSA's drug and alcohol policies, as well as the possible fines and penalties for failing drug tests. Drug and alcohol policies of the FMCSA apply to operators of trucks, buses, and hazardous material carriers carrying CDL. To be hired, a CMV driver has to pass a drug test run by a testing facility approved by the FNCSA. Among drugs, this test searches for cocaine, amphetamines, opiates, marijuana, and phencyclidine, PCP. Depending on a predefined percentage of the average number of driver positions, FNCSA rules mandate carriers to randomly test drivers for drugs and alcohol at different points throughout the year, so ensuring that drivers follow the law always. To find whether drug impairment was a contributing factor, the FNCSA mandates drug and alcohol testing of the drivers engaged in a significant CMV accident. If a supervisor or other qualified company representative have a good faith belief that a driver is intoxicated by drugs or alcohol, they may request for a test. Suspicion may be aroused by a person's appearance, behavior, or other relevant factors. Following drug and alcohol violations or a positive test result, drivers must undergo a mandated drug and alcohol test as part of the return to duty process. This is done to ensure the driver is fit for starting his or her regular driving responsibilities. Igniting the FNCSA's alcohol and drug policies and failing a drug test carries severe fines and penalties. If drivers have more offenses and refuse to take a drug test or fail one, their CDL may be lost for the rest of their life. The first infraction carries a 1 to 3 year disqualification term. Civil penalties ranging from hundreds to tens of thousands of dollars may also follow depending on the seriousness of the infraction and the count of past offenses. Carriers who disobey FNCSA rules run the danger of fines, suspension from their capacity to operate, and in severe cases possible company closure. Drivers who failed a drug test or broke FNCSA rules must complete a substance abuse treatment and provide proof of their success before being let to drive once more. Preserving road safety and ensuring that drivers of commercial vehicles are qualified for their positions depend on the FNCSA's drug and alcohol rules. Drivers have to be aware of and follow these guidelines if they are to keep the public and themselves safe as well as to promote a professional and ethical sector. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.